Hi guys, welcome to F.U.B.A.R Racing. This is the new Celica project we just got in the door. It's a ST165, not 85, 65, yeah. I'm gonna change a bit of components on this because the owner wants to upgrade the turbo, intercooler, cooling, a lot of stuff, and we're gonna go through a whole lot of other things like oil pan and all other things. First of all, you think it's a Celica. What's so special about this? This is a four-wheel drive Celica. In the old days, Toyota used them as rally cars. So it's a 89 model, so there's not much more of these cars left. They are scrapped or crashed or something. I believe there's about 10 in Denmark, no more. So, and they were produced about 10,500 in all the world. So it's a pretty rare car. And this is gonna be a daily driver, a normal car on the road with plates on. So we're gonna do a whole lot of customizing because the Danish rule system is totally fucked up, to say the least. You're not allowed to even take the spark plugs out and change on your car now. They're completely mental. So we're gonna do this by the book with the correct catalytic converter and air filter and yeah, all the goodies we all hate. But that's how it goes when you want to drive on the road in Denmark. So that's the project. If you saw the last video I did, you will have seen I've got this made. It's stainless steel. It's milled out of a solid 30mm block, 30 by 100mm, and it took 5 hours of programming and almost 12 hours in the CNC 5-axle mill. So this part wasn't cheap. It was very expensive, but it turned out beautiful. And it's oval in here and it's round out here. So I want to make all the transition in the flange, and that is why it came out this weird shape, because I could have taken the pipe and just squeezed it, but it gonna be look like shit. And this is much more easier for me and it's faster because I don't have to weld all funny things in here, and this is gonna get crooked because it's stainless. And no, this way it's better, it's fancier, and it's prettier. So that's the route I go on with. Normally the radiator sits on these mounts here and there. We're gonna change that up, so the radiator is gonna sit on this side. So it's gonna sit on this one. So we're moving it further along, so we have more room for the turbo down here. And the intercooler is probably gonna be just a normal intercooler run of the day. I don't have to make anything special. There's a lot of room in this front end of this car, so there's no problem there. Then I'm gonna have to acquire a bit of knowledge on the Danish rules, because I wanted to run a catch tank and put it over here, but I'm not quite certain I'm allowed to run a catch tank on the road in Denmark. So I need to check up on those rules. And I'm probably gonna build the radiators, come out here. It's gonna be A in line over to this one, and there's gonna be a box here to fill in your water, and there's gonna be a normal cap on it, like on your radiator. There's not gonna be a cap on the radiator. I have the old one here, and that's the new one. It's gonna be cut up so it's the same width as this one, and I'm gonna cut it and weld some end tanks on and put the AN16 on it as well. And this car has stood for about 7 years, so that's what cooling looks like after 7 years. Kind of gross. Then we have another problem. I took out the oil pan, and these went in it. These are the squirters for the under piston squirters. There's the cooling for the piston, and as you know, if you see the red intake, it's a beam engine, and the beams have a higher compression. And if you just throw in a beams engine and put some turbo on it, it's probably gonna blow. So what they did, they put other pistons in this engine, but that they didn't know the pistons was going lower in the bore, and that no, this is the result. These sit and squirt oil under the pistons. And if the piston goes way a bit too down, longer down, these gonna break off, and that's what they did. So I talked to the owner, and he said, when I get this car again, I'm gonna pull the engine totally apart. I want to know what's inside the engine. I want to know what condition it is in, and he's gonna change all the wiring as well, because this is totally hacked up. So there's gonna be a bit of wiring drop. And the other guys, I had this car before. That's kind of the level of the craftsmanship you can expect. About F.U.B.A.R. That was the holder for the sensor for the crank. And he bought some real nice goodies. A turbo 30, GT30, GTX30. That's important. 71. And spell blowouts for the radiator. It's gonna be running in 16 cooling lines. He bought wastegate and blow off, recirculating blow off because rules of Denmark, and a KN filter, and a whole lot of other small stuff. Example like this one, because the wastegate is going in the exhaust again, sadly, but that's the rules. So what I'm gonna do today is probably cut this up and probably cut this up as well, and I'm probably gonna pull this off as well. There's a whole lot of lines on that one, and clean it up because it's kind of icky. And oh yeah, put an oil pan back on it before I start grinding shit. I believe the air filter is gonna be here where the battery box is. The turbo is gonna sit around here, and the intake pipe is gonna go up here. And In Denmark, you're not allowed to run open filter, so you need to have a box around it. It's completely insane, because if you put your open filter in a box, it's okay. But if you have it outside in the air, it's not okay. The rules make no sense at all. But this car is gonna have a long process of going through inspection in Denmark, and sadly the rules are getting so tight in Denmark that the car community in Denmark can't breathe anymore. They are impounding our cars if you have a air filter, or I even heard if you have tinting on your headlights, they are impounding the car. So that's the point we are at now. I got the oil pan sealed and welded AN10 oil return from the turbo on. Before it was a hose. Kind of disgusting hose, and not so smart. So, gonna put a cap on it. I always do that, so the engine is not open, not getting any water or dirt in it until I made the manifold and I can plumb the lines. So, I got the AN16 welded on this aluminium, and my experience, when there's cooling involved and old aluminium, it's really shitty to weld. And also when it's a Toyota part, normally the Toyota aluminium is okay, but when it's dipped in cooling in 30 years, it normally is, you can't make pretty welds. It's completely not possible. Could they put any more doodads on this guy? Oh my god. This is how the radiator is gonna look. I got these end tanks bent up, just some simple 2mm aluminium. It's gonna sit here. And the AN16, it's gonna be one there and one on the other side for maximum cooling. And I'm also gonna make a shroud for it and put this fan on it. And I don't think the fan is gonna sit in the middle, it's gonna sit around here because there's a turbo in the way. My experience is the shroud is best if it's at least 2 inches. but I don't know if there's enough room in this car. So 50 millimeters is the optimal, because if you have a radiator, a fan that sits so close, it only pulls what the diameter of the fan. That doesn't work. If you pull it out, it increases the surface area on the pulling power. So the best would be out here, but that's not possible in any car. But that's the best alternative, 5 centimeters. So I just took a look at the oil feed for the turbo, and I couldn't see it because it was very dirty. But this is brass, and I really hate these ones, because if it sits in the engine and vibration and wear, and yeah, I know from experience these are gonna break, and that's the full oil pressure of the engine. I've seen engine die this way. So this is gonna be removed and thrown away, and I'm gonna put something else on it, probably steel or aluminium or something else. These are not to be trusted. They're cheap, it's easy, but it's really crap. So this is gonna go. I think this is gonna be all for today. I'm gonna do something behind the scenes, but let's end the video here, and let's make a part 2. And if you wanna like and subscribe and all that jazz, and follow us on other social media like Facebook, F.U.B.A.R Racing, go ahead.